The 2021 round of subnational elections was a sort of super Thursday in that it brought together the elections that would normally take place in 2021 with those that had been postponed from 2020 because of COVID-19. As such, it was a test for the major political parties in Scotland and England and Wales. In Scotland, the SNP didn't quite get a majority at Holyrood, but certainly did well enough to sustain their case in their own terms for a second independence referendum. In Wales, Labour did well, Mark Drakeford, the First Minister, I think, along with Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland and Boris Johnson in England, getting credit for the vaccination rollout. I think that incumbents did well in all three parts of Britain, partly as a result of that. Then coming to England, first we have to note the Hartlepool by-election, long held by Labour, which the Conservatives won with a substantial majority. A big shock there for Labour, big gain for the Conservatives. But actually, across the north of England and the Midlands, the Conservatives did relatively well in local elections. They held on to the Tees Valley mayoralty and the West Midlands mayoralty, big wins for Ben Houchen and Andy Street there. The further south you come, Labour did slightly better. They got back with a big majority for Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester. They picked up the mayoralties of the west of England around Bristol and Cambridge Peterborough. And of course, Sadiq Khan won reasonably easily, perhaps not as easily as he'd expected in London. And there were a few gains for Labour and the Lib Dems in the southeast. So it wasn't quite as bad for Labour in the southeast. The Greens did very well across the country, and they are heading towards being the third party. Problem for the Lib Dems perhaps in the medium to long term there. So we stand back from this whole sweep of elections, clearly good for the Conservatives. They've been in power one way or another now for over 11 years. Labour equally have been in opposition for 11 years. And for an opposition party to be losing seats and a government party to be gaining them in local elections at this point in the parliamentary and long-term cycles of government is really not great for Labour. So looking ahead, the Conservatives do appear, as of now, relatively well placed in a general election, which actually might come a little earlier than we'd expected, perhaps in 2023, because the government is in the process of repealing the Fixed Term Parliament Act, and that allows Boris Johnson to choose when to hold the next election rather than just wait till 2024.